Welcome to Slasher Sunday. So, tonight we're going to continue with the Prom Night franchise, tackling Hello, Mary Lou Prom Night 2, which if you look on IMDb, it's just Prom Night 2, and they took away the Hello, Mary Lou. I've always been in love with the title of this film. Ever since I saw the cover art, which is not this shit, by the way, on the VHS back in the day, and just, I don't know, there's something about the title. I liked the rhyming. I liked that it was different. And man, talk about different. This movie went in a completely different direction. What a bold, odd decision to do. But all the better for it, because this is far superior to the original for me. There's nothing comparative to me from the first film that could even be thought of as better. So that's just my own opinion. Of course, people seem to think the first Prom Night's a classic. I don't. I think it's boring. I think the kills are lazy. This movie, I will say one negative about this movie. For the most part, save for like one, yeah, I want to say one kill in this movie, is pretty lame. So if this movie had great kills, this movie would be fantastic. Like, I would love it. It would be a total 80s gem. And I can still say that I really enjoy it. It's still a fun watch. And that's because of characters, and that's because of the tone of it. And you know what this kind of reminded me of when I was watching it? Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Little Nightmare on Elm Street 1 as well, but for some reason, this was really giving me Nightmare 2 vibes throughout. And there's a few scenes in particular where I'd already been feeling like that towards the movie. But then something happened that was like, oh wow, that's like straight out of Nightmare 2. You know, like at the end, of course, when Mary Lou breaks out of Vicky's body, much like Freddy does out of Jesse's body in Grady's room. So there's elements here and there that and the atmosphere, the tone of the film felt that way to me. And of course, I mean, you've got some Carrie stuff going on in here as well, but I don't know, anybody else feel like nightmare vibes here? Before we get into the movie, I got a package I want to open up real quick, since somebody, not somebody, Mark D. I don't think he wants me to say his last name, if I remember correctly. Is this who that asked me to do that, or is it somebody else? Well, regardless, Mark, thank you so much. The shipping on this was $19.60. Shipping is outrageous. And this was just like, well, it's 3-day priority, so I guess he did kind of speed it up. But Jesus, man, it's just probably cost more than what's in here. You know, not saying that's the truth, but a lot of the times it can be that. It's like, Jesus Christ, it costs more to ship the thing than the thing's worth. That's insane. But, you know, it is what it is. So here we go. Let's open up Mark's package here. And didn't bring a knife down, so hopefully I can get this open pretty quick. Not to bore the shit out of you guys, but it's always so amazing when I go to check the mail and there's something like this. Unfortunately, I don't get to the mail but once every like week. So that's why sometimes people will send me stuff and they'll be like, dude, have you got it yet? And I'm like, give me time. Like, I'm going to go. I'll go to the mailbox. Don't worry. So, but anyway. All right. What do we got here? First, we've got a letter. 269. And we've got some Quiet Room Bears. A Nightmare in the Daylight. Okay. The way that this, I don't know if you can read it, you probably can't see that, but the way daylight is written is really, really weird. It doesn't look like, it looks like a U, day-ought. I was like, what the hell's day-ought? But some dolls, I'm assuming that one of these is one of these bears in here. Which is cool. I'll be curious. So let's look at the bear really quick before anything. If that's, I can only assume that's what this is. 269. I doubt there's 269 of these things, but You never know. So, all right, it comes in like a burlap sack. At first, when I saw this, I thought it was Jason's, sackhead Jason from Friday the 13th mask. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. But no, man, it's a completely... Oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy right here. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to rip him away. Oh, he's a... Look at this creepy little son of a bitch. This just reminds me of... So, 269. I can't imagine there's 269 of these fucking things. Look at the mask on. Look at the face. The thing is freaky as shit, man. This will scare the hell out of everybody. I mean, it's got a little doll arm here, like a little baby doll arm. It's got a little bunch of fingers here in the stomach, and then like another little teddy bear inside that's like holding him prisoner. It's got a full-on face mask attached to it. Made in Mex? What the fuck is that? I can't even tell. I can't tell what that says. That's weird. Mexico? I think that's Mexico. Anyway, so session 269. Hey, should have been just session 9. What a great movie that is. Lee Howard's Quiet Room Bears. Okay, I've never heard of this. But what I was going to say is it reminds me of the horror show. They have a bear that they put on display when they go to conventions. They put up on the Hideous Herald or something like that. They have a name for him. And seriously, it gets... Oh, look, he's got fucking fingers coming out of his feet. Look at that. There you go, Rebecca. Some fingers coming out of feet. She probably doesn't even watch my videos anymore. She's too damn busy. She's doing her own damn thing. Anyway, well, thank you to Mark for this creepy son of a bitch that's going to scare the fuck out of my children. That's, yeah, I'm going to have to hide that thing, man, for real. Like, that'll, like, straight up devastate my children. I think. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure I don't want to take the risk. But I got a sackhead Jason if I want. I can do the review. All right. So I can't read the notes through this thing though. All right. So we've got... Oh shit, man. That really got me dirty. Holy fuck. This thing is crazy. All right. Anyway. All right. So we got Michael Ironside in here, which is always great. We've got... I don't know if I said proper thank you to Mark for sending this to me. This is badass, man. For real. I don't know. Like, I felt like I kind of just like was like, all right, whatever. Anyway, moving on. That's not what I meant by that. I was just trying to get to the review for people who are like, hurry the fuck up, dude. I'm fast forwarding and you're still talking about this bear. Thank you to Mark. Seriously. Anyway. All right. Anyway. No, but for real. Thank you. The opening confession scene, for me, is iconic. Like, even though that this is a completely untalked about, overlooked, forgotten movie, and very few people even know of its existence, have ever watched it, and I don't care. Okay, so I guess maybe iconic. How about this? It should be iconic. This opening confession sequence is like the perfect tone, the perfect setup for this, just to kind of give us who Mary Lou is, to give us the tone of the film, the way it's done, what she says, like when she's putting on the lipstick and she's writing her name in lipstick and her phone number for a good time called Mary Lou, and she's just like, I've sinned, I've fucked dudes, I've done all this stuff, and he's like, oh, it sounds like you sinned and this and that, and she's like, you know what, Father, there's another thing I didn't tell you. I enjoyed all of it, or something like that, paraphrasing, of course, but I love it. And then she like blows him a kiss and walks out, and the music starts. It's a fantastic opening. I just love it. So right there off the bat, you're already off on a much better foot than the original movie. Now, the original movie does have some creepy atmosphere in the opening, but it's like that dreamlike, foggy cam bullshit that kind of retains throughout. It's a piss poor movie. Anyway, so Brock Simpson is an actor that's in this movie. He plays the tech geek, the computer guy that gets blown for ballot fixing. And he's also in the first one. He's one of the kids that scares or coaxes the kid out of the window. He's also in the third one as a different character, and he's also in the fourth one as a different character. So this dude's in all 4 Prom Night films as different people. That's pretty badass. I like that. That's cool. It's a cool continuity thing. It's almost like American Horror Story or something, reprising roles in each subsequent installment with the same actor. I dig that. That's so cool. So I was really excited when I looked that up. We've got some throwback names here in the movie, which I've said this before. Like, I feel like that's extremely overplayed now, but back when this movie came out, it wasn't. I mean, that was kind of a newer thing. So you've got characters with the last name Carpenter, you've got a Craven, you got stuff like that. So there's homages to popular horror icons in this movie. And this is like during the height of their reign in the horror world. This isn't decades after they've either like, I shouldn't say decades, but this isn't like, years and years and years after their career and their filmography had like fallen off a cliff. Either they're not making it anymore, or what they do make is pure trash. Like, they are still very prominent at that time, and they're naming characters after directors. It would be like watching a movie right now, a horror movie that came out, let's say next year, and the characters were named, Lee frickin' Astor and Kenny Eggers and, Peel is the last name, and frickin', or Flanagan, something like that. That would be like doing that now, which is what I think they should be doing. Don't do the Carpenter. It's all been done. Pay homage to the up and comers, the ones that are cranking out the great material right now. The Ari Asters, the Robert Eggers, the friggin' Mike Flanagans. Like, well, not Flanagans, not plural. I wish there was more Flanagans. There isn't. There's just one, but you know what I mean. So I don't know. Like, I would hope that these guys who are making these movies that want to do their homages to certain people's names pick people who haven't been done a million times. How many times can you name a fucking character, Dr. Carpenter or whatever? It's like, oh, so overplayed. Give some credit to the new guys like this movie did at the time when it came out. Moving on from that. I just talk, man. I don't plan any of this shit. My notes are so vague. I don't even know how I come up with 90% of the shit I say, because it's not like it's scripted in the slightest. I have like the most basic shit written down here. And then I never even thought about that, like homages to new directors and that and this. And I'm just like, it's funny how I just go off on these tangents. I don't know where the hell this shit comes from. Anyway, all right. I feel really bad for Michael Ironside's character here in the opening of this movie. He's dating Mary Lou, who's gorgeous. Jesus Christ, this actress is just stunning. And he's there at the prom with her, and they've been going out for a year, and she's been using him for his money. He's a rich kid, and his popularity. And I'm not sure how a rich kid, now that I think about it, I'm not sure how a rich kid ended up a principal of a public school. Like, what happened in his life where the rich kid in school ends up a principal at that school where he was responsible for the death of his girlfriend and pretty much everyone knew about it? Don't you think that'd be like a conflict of interest? Like, yeah, no, you can't be the principal here. You maybe inadvertently or purposely, we don't really know, killed someone you supposedly were like dating and possibly like had serious romantic feelings for, like love maybe. Like, how did a rich kid become a principal of a school where he killed a kid? I mean, come on. That makes no sense. And yet again, another thing I didn't even think of until right this second on the spot. Like, wait a minute. That doesn't make any fucking sense. But there you go. We just kind of have to ignore logic in movies like this. You just have to. It's just expected of you. And I'm willing to suspend it as long as the movie is entertaining enough and it's not absolutely insulting to our intelligence. Like, where it's like, dude, I'm just going to slap you across the face with unbelievability and arrogance and ignorance, and you're just going to take it because, I'm the director and I tell you what to do. And it's like, no, 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 no. But yeah, as long as you're making the film entertaining and you're, not just having a blatant disregard for people's attention spans and intelligence, then I'm all right with it. But that doesn't make any fucking sense. Now that I say it out loud, that's absurd. None of that stuff would make any sense. But all right. I just feel really bad for him because he takes this girl there. He walks away to get them a drink really quick, comes back, and she's just like, going to town with this dude behind the curtains. And not only does he see that happen, but also in addition to that, she has to overhear her dogging him out like, oh, I only date him for the money and the fame and, the popularity, whatever. And really just, and we know from her confession that she's been fucking around with tons of dudes, which is her business and it's her right if she wants to do that. But you don't want to do that when you have a boyfriend who thinks everything's peachy keen. And then he walks in on it. And I really do feel bad for the dude, because even the other guy, the guy who ends up becoming a priest, what a joke. He comes at him and he's just the Michael Ironside's character here, the kid version of him, he's like, we've been going out for a year and you haven't went this far with me. He's a guy, so of course he's immediately thinking with his dick, and he's like, wait, what? Like, why wasn't I getting laid? Why wasn't I getting to finger you and get jerked off or whatever the hell they were doing? Because the guy goes and he's like, here, I'm going to, you want to shake my hand? It's the closest you're ever going to get, essentially to her pussy. Like, this was in her pussy. So I just, I feel so bad for that guy in that moment. Like, there's no remorse. Both of them, there's no, like, oh shit, the jig is up, we got caught, oh my God, run away, shame, nothing. It's like pure arrogance, pure in your face. Like, hey, you want to smell your girlfriend's pussy you've never touched, that you'll never touch? Like, this is the closest you're ever going to come is by my hand, was in there. Like, and for her reactions too, of just so completely void of any compassion. It's brutal, man. It's absolutely brutal. So I completely understand, and really all he wants to do is he wants to embarrass her on stage when she's won, the crown, which is kind of odd because I had salsa earlier, and I have pepper. Freaking a serrano pepper I cut up. It must still be on my hand because I just touched my eye and my eye is on fucking fire right now. Is it turning red? Look at it. I think it is. Oh shit. Oh. It's all right though, because it's like, I can tell people are probably yelling at me, go upstairs and rinse it out, you idiot. And it's not bad. Like, you can tell it's just maybe like the juice, like just barely. Anyways, I'll tough out through it because I ain't adding shit. I'm all right. All right, no more touching my eyes. I'm just going to do a pirate review. I'm going to look like this fucking idiot by the end of this thing. All right. But yeah, so I feel really bad for this guy. I'm going to start crying here in a second. Like, water's coming out of my... And so, yeah, he just wants to embarrass her on stage. He wants to freaking humiliate her, and so he takes a stink bomb out of the trash can, and he throws it at her feet, thinking he's going to stink her up, that it's going to, go off in front of her, and it's going to make everyone laugh at her, and they're all going to laugh at you, and then she'd burn the place down. But of course catches her dress on fire. And I like that she looks back up at him as she's burning, and he can like see her face through it and like the anger and the resentment in it. And it's, in that moment, you barely know the girl, but just how they've presented her, you're just like, fuck you. It sounded like Chucky right there. What an ugly doll. Fuck you. But yeah, it's a good shot. I like that. I like when she looks up and there's the flames in front of her face and she's like burning on one side and she's just like, you motherfucker. And then, she dies. We fast forward. That was 1957. I'm assuming we're about 30 years later, and we're back at the same school. You want to talk about some old ass high school students. I was talking about that in the last film. The 1957 high school students are insanely old. Like, they're seriously like my age. It's crazy. Not that I'm insanely old, but to play a high school student, imagine me being in a movie playing a high school student, absurd. It was hilarious to watch. I was like, okay, they definitely don't fit the bill here, but you go with what you go with, I guess. And then, so yeah, as I said, we moved to present day at that time in the year this was released, which I think this is 87. I want to say this is 7 years after Prom Night 1, which was 80. So 30 years later, essentially. We got the geeky guy that's been in all 4 prom nights, and he's sitting up there and he's talking about his potato radio. And I actually thought one of his jokes was he had kind of like a racist joke when he was up there, and I thought it was really funny. He was talking about how he tried to make like a guacamole radio and that he could only get like Spanish networks. I thought that was really funny. Like, I thought that was really funny. And it's like edited. So it's edited. That's such a hard word to say. It's edited in such a way where the joke is almost trailed off at the end and no one in the class acknowledges it. And you almost, as the audience, barely catch it. And it's like, that's a really good joke that's completely dismissed. Like, that sucks. I like that joke. Anyway, so he turns it on and blows up. Everyone kind of laughs at him in that moment. It's like, no, what he said before was funny. You guys missed it because you're idiots. But anyway, so I also like, it kind of has like an 80s high school comedy feel to it at times. That guy, the potato dude, he kind of reminds me of like a character in just one of the guys or something, like a Reptile Sherbicle or somebody. And I love that. I love the feeling of that. Then the other girl who's talking to Vicky, our main character here, she's like, why can't I get a date for the prom? And then the dude comes up. And this actually reminds me a lot of just one of the guys as well. When Denise is getting asked out by the geek, and she's like, that's 4. Like, people just keep asking her out. But this girl's like kind of the opposite of that. And she's kind of, Denise tries to be nice as to where this girl's like, I can't remember exactly what she says, so another paraphrase, but she's just like, fuck off, loser, essentially. And the guy's like, oh, and then she turns around, she's like, why can't I get a date? Like, why won't anyone ask me out? Great line, funny stuff, cute little bit, and absolutely would fit perfectly in a summer school or something along those lines. So, and there's a decent amount of that kind of stuff within this movie. But I don't want it to make it seem like, if someone hasn't seen this movie and they're watching this, I don't want to make it seem like it's purely a comedy or kind of more resembles a John Hughes movie or something. Not at all. No. I'm just saying that it has those elements within it, but more set in a Nightmare on Elm Street 2 kind of way. But anyway, I like that Vicky is like the final girl, but not. And they kind of play with conventions in that way, because as she's turning into Mary Lou, which you don't even know at the time, so it's kind of shocking when that girl who wants to be prom queen is screwing with her, and she like turns around and she yells at her something like, shut the fuck up, bitch. Love it. And then she slaps the girl across the face. By this time, you already kind of put together that she's turning into Mary Lou. But before that, you really don't know that's happening. And so when she turns around, she's like, fuck up, shut the fuck up, bitch. As that girl had just died, and she's, kind of being extremely insensitive to that, because she's filled with this idea of becoming prom queen and couldn't think of nothing else. And this is just like other competition out of the way. I love that response. And there's a lot of like teased nudity from her. There's a shot of her in the opening where she's like checking out her tits in the mirror as she's wearing this tight-fitting shirt. Then there's a shower sequence. Then there's there's just a couple sequences in the movie where it's like, it plays with and teases that she's, a good girl, but she also has like she has a teenage appetite, a sexual appetite, and that's fine. But that if we, because us as the audience knows our final girls as the timid ones and the quote unquote prudes or whatever you want to refer to it as, it is a cool kind of flip on it when Mary Lou takes over as the antagonist, taking over the protagonist, and then that bad girl side comes out, and then there's just full-on gratuitous nudity from Vicky, and she's just walking around completely stark nude, head to toes, seeing everything, and of course, I love it. I mean, that's what I want to see and whatnot. But I also like the fact that they're flipping conventions, and that's cool with this. And I do think Vicky gives a pretty solid performance in that way, because she really has to play two dual roles. She has to play completely contrasting roles, where she's the good girl, the final girl, but she also has to be the antagonist too, because Mary Lou takes possession of her in the movie. So she flips it she does a total 180 in the movie. And I think she does both very well. I'll also say, and I'm not usually a huge lover of makeup. I don't dislike it, but for the most part, I actually prefer girls to wear much less, if not nothing at all. There's some makeup I like, and I'm not completely opposed to it for the most part, but I've always preferred the more natural look. But this girl, Vicky, she looks just so much better with makeup. I was watching, I was like, oh wow, this is actually a time where I prefer a girl with makeup. I don't know what that says about her. You can fill in the blanks there for yourself, but I was just noticing it in the movie, being like, I actually prefer this. You look really good right now, and I'm not that attracted to you without it. So that's kind of odd for me, but there you go. And then, oh man, this girl who gets impregnated, which really isn't much of the movie. I don't really know the relevance of it all that much. It just kind of seems like inserted drama for drama's sake. It doesn't really have any relevance to the movie. I think it's just kind of supposed to connect you emotionally with what a good person Vicky is, how she's there for her friend, this and that. So, as I said, I don't really feel like it plays into the movie at all, but you do feel for the girl, because yeah, any dude who has sex with you and then won't return your phone calls, is completely ignoring your phone calls when you're trying to call him and be like, hey, motherfucker, you knocked me up. That's unforgivable stuff. That's a whole different level of evil to me. Like, I've always said this is a good rule. Learning lessons for Sinister Cinema Reviews. Somebody who's had a very chaotic, insane life. I've experienced a lot of things, and I'll tell you this: this is not something I adopted early enough in my, let's say, promiscuous years. But this is something that everyone should adopt, and take down notes here, because this is important. If you're going to partake in sexual acts with somebody, that sounds very scripted or, unhip or whatever. I don't give a shit. If you're going to fuck somebody, how about that? Is that cool enough for you? If you're going to have sex with somebody, here's a criteria that should always be at the forefront of that decision. Because sex is how this happens. I don't know if you know this or not. If by some chance, even if you wear a condom, whatever, I get this person pregnant, or this person gets me pregnant, do I want to have a kid with this person? Is this a person that I want to raise a child with, or have be a part of a child's life, or make a child with and then deal with them not being a part of their life, or whatever? It's a serious, I know that bums people out when they're out there and they're like, fuck that, it's casual, this and that. And it's like, no, dude, it's a reality. Sex leads to children. Okay, that's kind of the purpose of it. Anyways, okay, now I'm just preaching, but I implore you to try to make that decision I didn't do it my whole life, but I started to do it. I don't remember when I made that transition, that change, but I just remember being like, that could happen. So I really need to make sure that this person is not going to absolutely ruin my life if I impregnated them, which is a serious possibility. So stay smart, people. Anyways, moving on. All right. Enough preaching. Jason sits down and talks about the birds and the bees. How long is this review? 30 fucking minutes. Oh my God, we're not even like halfway through this thing. Okay, wait, hurry up. All right, so Art Blank is her boyfriend in this. Art Blank is not the actor's name. He's the character's name from Saw 4. Yes, John Kramer's lawyer in the Saw franchise. Big Saw franchise fanatic. So as soon as I saw him, I was like, that's fucking Art Blank. That's Art Blank. That's hilarious. He actually looked like someone else for a minute, but I was like, no, I know who that is. There he is. So they open up the trunk. This releases Mary's soul that's inside, or her presence, or whatever, trapped. I don't know how exactly she got in there, but she's in there, and this releases it, which it doesn't even fully release until that girl breaks off a little fake gem from the crown that Mary. You would think that crown probably got some fire damage, but I don't know if it ever actually made it onto her head or not. If that girl was just still... No, she was, right? She was waving and she had the crown on at that point. So shouldn't that crown have been like melted to her head? How does that thing still exist? How does I don't know. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Moving on. So yeah, she does not like her crown fucked with. You fuck with that thing, that's like, boom, I came out. I'm ready to party. Let's kill some sons of bitches. And so the first person she goes to kill, she's going to cut the head off with, one of those tools where you cut paper. What are those called? I don't know what they're called. Anyways, I know what they're called, and I'm going to beat myself up when I look it up after this and be like, you idiot. Anyways, here I am giving advice to people, and I don't even know what the stupid contraption's called. Whatever. I'm right about what I said earlier. I don't care how stupid I sound. I'm right. Anyway, they go to cut off the head. Boom, no. Here we think we're going to get a good kill, and then it just hangs her. And then it throws her out a window. And then it reseals up the thing. It's just kind of really uneventful. I had to laugh a little bit because I was like, yeah, in using that thing, I think Mary Lou's spirit was like, that wouldn't actually cut through her head. Like, I would have to push so hard. Now she's a supernatural entity, so maybe she could push harder, but I don't really care. That would not get through your head. You would have to just keep just keep going down as much as you possibly could to get the head off. So it was just like, just hang her instead. Never mind. This thing ain't gonna work. Shut your fucking mouth, bitch. Yeah, there's that line. Good stuff. Vicky's mom sucks. She's that total conservative bitch that you just never want to see in here. But it's always cathartic when they get theirs. And I already said a lot of this stuff. Her dad's a good guy. Like, he tries to invite her boyfriend in, and the mom's like, no. Which is really annoying. The evil carousel horse. Cool effect, man. Really cool effects on that thing. Love that evil carousel. The red eyes are moving around, the tongue and the mouth opens, and it's very realistic. And she's like, when she becomes full Mary Lou, she's like on the thing's back and like playing with its mouth. And I like that thing a lot. Shout out to the movie Carousel, a killer carousel unicorn movie that I actually reviewed on the podcast, and I had a really, really good time with it. If you like super stupid, super ultra low budget parody horror movies, that's a fun time. Anyways, moving on. What is this? Dude. Oh, yeah. The priest kid turned to God after being a total shithead and watching that girl burn in front of him. Now, when that girl tries to pay off that guy to win prom queen, I want to be prom queen, which prom king doesn't even seem to be a thing in this school. But that being said, when she goes to pay him off, are we supposed to believe that's real money? That might be the worst fake money I've ever seen in a movie. It's like, it's worse than Monopoly money. It's hilariously bad. It looks like someone took just like white paper and like lazily sketched some money drawings onto it. It's so okay. It's not that bad, but it's not far off. It is horrendously bad fake money. At first, I thought it was a check, and then I was looking closer, and I was like, "Is that supposed to be like actual, like money, like actual physical dollars, like Federal Reserve notes, like for real? That's what that's supposed to be? It's not even close. It's not even." Here's something I never understand. Why don't they use real money in movies when it's such a little amount of money? Like no one on set had a $100 bill? Why would you not use an actual $100? And then I'll see that in movies where they're like big budget movies that have millions and millions and millions of dollars in it, and they'll open up a briefcase, and on the top of the thing you'll see like a ton of bills that are clearly fake, and you're like, just take $100 bill and put it on the top of each row, and then it will look like the whole suitcase is filled with real money. Is it illegal to show real money because of the barcodes or the numbers on it? Is that something I don't know about? Like, why can't you show real money if that's the case? But if not, if it isn't a thing, why not use real money? So weird to me. $50 bill. Nobody had a $50 bill. The director, nobody was like, all right, here's like $200. Give it right back to me after the scene. But they're afraid the money's going to get taken. That was what I would assume, but it's not even that much money. $100, $200, big fucking deal. It's not that big of a deal. Anyway, I just find it really funny when I saw the money. And she's like, well, what do you want? And then I guess he just writes like a blowjob on the computer, and she just storms out of there. How dare you? I would never, unless I got really, really desperate, which I'm going to. And then I'm going to blow you. And there's actually a really funny line when she comes out, and she's like, hi, after it's been announced, and she realizes she didn't win, and the guy looks over and he's like, how'd you blow it? Cute little pun there. But she's like spraying Banaka, and her boyfriend or her date or whatever he is comes out and kisses her, and he's like, oh, yeah, you've been like, your breath tastes amazing. That's just gross. It's great, man. That was really funny. But imagine blowing that dude to win, because she just wants it so bad, and then to come out and lose. I mean, what do you do in that situation? I always wonder about that kind of stuff. I always wonder about blowing guys to become prom queen. Yes, no, that's not what I mean. I just mean like in those scenarios where you're doing something that's, I wouldn't consider this illegal per se, but ethically wrong, like rigging an election, rigging a freaking ballot box. Like, how do you then expose them for not delivering on the promise? Like, I blew him to become prom queen, and I want him expelled. It's like, there'd be nothing to do. Like, he could just be like, all right, anyway, I knew I said I was going to do that, but what are you going to do about it? You going to tell people that you blew me? What are we going to do? You going to tell people you bribed me, that you gave me money? Like, it's not going to work. So, like, in that moment, it's really just kind of a act of faith. Like, I'm going to do this for you, and I just have to believe you're going to be a man of your word, because there's really nothing I can say. It's kind of like prostitution. I mean, that's why they have pimps, but like, you have sex with them, and then what are they going to do? Go to the cops because you didn't pay them? Prostitution's illegal, so you can't do that. It's like, so it wasn't consensual? You saying he raped you? I mean, which they could do, but at the same time, it's just like when you have those kinds of situations, it makes me laugh, because I'm like, he really doesn't have to follow through on this now, because what could you say? And in that moment, it really is kind of her just sitting there. She doesn't storm off and then go find his dead body. She just kind of sits there in disbelief. Now, the girl who does win, Vicky, obviously, or actually Mary Lou, if you want to consider it that, gets shot like a minute later. So that girl's probably sitting there stoked out of her mind. Oh my God, I didn't win. Thank God, I would have got shot to death. But yeah, what would she have done? What could she have done? Go to her boyfriend? I blew this guy and he didn't give me anything. Which actually reminds me of a really funny story of time in the bar, but I cannot tell it because this is getting way out of control. Ask me later. Really, really funny though. All right. And yeah, tease Vicky naked so many times. See what my notes are comprised of? Ridiculous shit. I like that she comes out and she's like telling the priest, there's no heaven. And the worst of all, there was no wings. She wanted to be able to fly around and this and that. It's like, really? You thought you were going to heaven? Just because she was in limbo. She has to believe in something. I mean, there's something out there if her supernatural self is coming around. So, I don't know. Maybe it's not traditional heaven and hell as we have been raised to know it. But something's out there. As I said, kills are lame. That's what I wrote here. I feel like her friend overreacts in the locker room when she starts kissing her. Like, it's such an overreaction. Now, I know that Vicky's acting a little weird before that, but for that girl to be running with the most secured towel on planet Earth, I love that movies where the girl's wearing a towel and it's just like tucked in up here and they're like running and their tits are bouncing and the whole works and these things aren't falling off. Bullshit. Have you ever wrapped a towel around yourself and then tried to run? Get out of here. That thing falls in a second. Did you will the towel to fall? Did I will it to fall? No. Name that movie. No one's going to name that movie. It's Neighbors. Please watch it. John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, never gets talked about. One of the greatest comedies ever made. And Mill Creek actually put it out on Blu-ray recently, and I got to pick it up for like $7. So do yourself a favor. If you see Neighbors on Blu-ray, pick it up. It is a bizarre-ass movie with a complete reversal of roles where Dan Aykroyd plays the nutcase and John Belushi plays the total straight-laced dude. Amazing. I think it's Belushi's last movie, but why that thing doesn't get more attention, I'll never understand. Moving on, we don't get to see that chick's tits, which is a total shame, but her reaction is out of control. She like just starts kissing on her face and her cheek, and then she tries to kiss her lips, and she's like running through the locker rooms with wet feet, which is inadvisable, might I add. I'm just lecturing people this entire thing. But she's like screaming for help. Your friend tried to kiss you in the shower. Help? Help with what? What are you going to tell people? Ridiculous sequence. Anyway, the principal here, Michael Ironside's character, goes and digs up the grave after he's not believing, because Mary Lou comes into his office and like straddles him and convinces him he's back. So he goes to the grave, digs her up, and finds the priest's body. Which, was that intentional? Like, did she put that priest in there? Like, what's the point of that priest being in that grave? Like, outside of Michael Ironside's character going and digging him up and finding him. Like, there's no purpose for her to put him in there. Like, she didn't get rid of the other bodies. So why his specifically? Why did she put him in there? It's just very convenient for the moment when he finds his body. I always find that funny in these kinds of movies. It's just like, why would they put the body? Why is he buried? Did she dig up the grave, put him in there? Or did she teleport him into the coffin? Where's her body? Is it now inside of Vicky, and that's how she was able to come out, and then the priest took her place in that? Who knows? I'm way overthinking things, but 43 minutes for a fucking prom night too? It's because of the doll, though. It's because of the doll. It would have been 30 otherwise, probably. All right, moving on. Dad knocks the kid out, which, another extremely inadvisable thing. You can kill somebody knocking them out. Hitting them in the back of the head like that. You could rupture a vein. They could bleed in the brain. They do this in movies like it's no big deal. I've mentioned this on the channel way too many times. I'm a broken record at this point, but it's just such an outrageous thing they do in movies all the goddamn time. Just knock somebody out. No big deal. Whatever. I'm just going to, But he does think his kid possibly could die if he shows up, so he's willing to take the risk, I suppose. Principal shoots Vicky, then freaking Mary Lou crawls her way out of her, which is really cool. Then she starts trying to attack the school, Carrie style, and there's a big showdown, And all it takes is the principal to come in, put the crown on her head, and then I guess this just like it suggests that this puts her soul at rest for the moment. But then, of course, we get the ending, which has Mary Lou having taken over the body of the principal, which I can only assume she would not retain for very long. She's very into her body, because when she gets Vicky's body, she's like, ooh, this is not a bad replacement. I prefer my other one. And it's like, I prefer your other one too. Now that Vicky's a bad looking girl, but Mary Lou's freaking gorgeous. But she definitely doesn't want Michael Ironside's body. I can tell you that. Not as her physical body, anyways. But yeah, they get out of there, and I just found it to be hilarious that somehow the principal, who was just seen by tons of eyewitnesses to have shot a student to death inside the auditorium, is now just walking students out the door, getting in a car, and driving away. Is this some of the worst police work in the history of film? A principal is seen up in the rafters where he murdered someone else 30 years ago, by the way, in almost, not the exact same fashion, but on the same spot in the same area and whatnot, and shoots this girl to death in front of everyone. And no one said anything. No one went out to the cops and were like, the principal went nuts. He shot up a student, and then the student went crazy. They would immediately grab the principal. And then, of course, they have to like put in special effects to show that he's Mary Lou by putting like a little blue hue or something over his pupils. So stupid. Do we really need that? Do we really need that added stupid 80s effects, which they kind of have in the electricity on his guy's hands and all these stupid things, or like the stuff on the blackboard where it's writing "help me" backwards? Would that really have been that hard to do practically? Really, would that have been that hard? I did really like that sequence where she gets pulled into the blackboard and it's like water. That was really cool. And then she comes out and she's full Mary Lou. I forgot to mention that. That was a cool sequence. Anyway, all that being said, the effects at the end, stupid. Him turning around and being like, they're playing our song, and then smiling and turning around and driving off, and then the license plate says Mary Lou 2, which is almost the title of the film and all that. Like, I think that's enough for the audience to be like, oh, Mary Lou is possessing his body. Do we really need the effects over the eyes that just cheapen the sequence? Stupid decision. Anyways, I probably missed some things. I don't care. This review is way too long. I gotta get to bed, so adios.